everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays the Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. It's always hard to return to a streak that has been destroyed, but you know what? Here we are. And I thought we randomed Eden, but that's okay. I kind of want to random from this point forward, maybe for a bit. GWST PV2T, and you know it's not really Eden's fault we lost the last run. Look, I take a lot of ownership for my own mistakes. Yeah, why not? Whether I believe they're actually my mistakes or otherwise, I apologize like a lot. Could a better Isaac player have won the previous run? Yes. Were there decisions I made that led to the run being worse than it could have been? I honestly don't think so. I think that's a great example of a run where kind of, you know, RNG's just said, trolled you. You mad, bro? LOL. We got a lot of deals with the devil. We got, I don't really want to do big room here. We got a lot of deals with the devil. They just ended up being mostly pretty bad. 2 out of 3 guppy items. And just really, really kind of impotent DPS at the end of the day. But you know what? Life goes on. Again, you know, Marcus Aurelius, he said you can't control the difficulty of the game. All you can control is the difficulty of your mind. That's from Gamer Meditations. One of the most seminal works, and I mean that word in its literal context, of the Stoic philosophies. Now, I know, you're like, when did this streamer get so well read? It's called Audible, sweetheart. Look it up. So well listened. Okay, we did get in a little bit of trouble here. Dude, just to be honest, we don't end up fighting Steven that much. I think Steven is not the ideal boss for you when you have Tiny Planet. But you know, if there's ever a time to take a little bit of a weirdo item that could be fun, but also might be truly horrendous, is when you got 0 wins. You just get yourself back on the horse, you know? Stop focusing on the streak number. Start focusing on the thing that's in your control. Playing as best as you can, providing entertaining content. I gotta say, by the way, I had a serious case of karma, and you know where it happened. It was at the grocery store. Last week, when Dan and I were recording, with Mathis, but this anecdote specifically concerns Daniel and myself. I'm not trying to take away from Mathis's involvement in the Mario Maker episodes, but in those Mario Maker episodes I made, oh no, but also that's not so bad right now. I made, oh, why didn't I use how to jump to get the key on the last floor, you dummy? Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, but I made fun of Dan because he's been talking about cold brew coffee, and he's like, I don't get it. What's the difference between cold brew coffee and iced coffee? Don't we already have, you know, enough kinds of coffee out there? I don't understand. And I told him that I had to explain to Kate that because, and this is verbatim and very rude, but it also made both of us laugh. I think it made him laugh in a in the way that you have to laugh when somebody makes a joke at your expense so people don't think you're actually sore about it, but I'll take it. I said I had to explain to Kate that Dan's from the Midwest, so he gets all the cool new things last, and as a result has cause to be innately skeptical of them. And, I know. Look, is it becoming of a friend to say something like that about another friend? No, but if you can't say it about a friend, who could you say it about, you know? I would never say that about an enemy. It's too rude! About a friend, you can get away with it, because it's good-natured ribbing, I hope. Anyway, but, you know, last night I was at the grocery store. I've been making my own cold brew on and off for, like, 4 years. Sometimes I get store-bought cold brew just for convenience's sake. Sue me. So I had a bunch of cold brew coffee in my cart. A stranger came up to me and said, hey, you must like that. And I said, how can you tell? And she said, you got a lot of it. And I said, you know what? I know what I like. I know this sounds like it's a charged conversation. It really wasn't. I was just trying to move on with my day. And I was like, that was unusual. Then as I was checking out, the cashier was like, is this milk? And I was like, you know what? This is the universe's way of telling me I shouldn't have made fun of my good friend Daniel Giesling. Now, after saying that, you live in the Midwest, out here on the elite coast, we got all the cool stuff. And you're still drinking motor oil out there. I had a bunch of people come up to me and be like, man, what do you got there? You buying 8 liters of milk? No, I'm not buying 8 liters of milk. I'm buying 4 liters of milk. Cashew milk. And 4 liters of cold brew coffee. Is that a problem? Save on foods? I don't think so. That's, you might not believe it. I've been a little bereft of grocery store anecdotes because I haven't been going in the day when there's a lot of other people. But last night, there's a lot of grocery store, well, there's 2 grocery store anecdotes. That was one of them. I hope you enjoyed it. The second one, and by the way, I will try to become Dark Judas here. I think it's very prudent with our current set of parameters here. So, one thing I haven't talked about much, it's not like a, I don't want it to sound like a serious issue because it's not, but is that the freaking Beyond Burger has exploded in popularity. At least here, but I also think, like, yeah, I'm going to say across Canada and the United States, because I've heard Malf talk about it as well. I've heard people in chat talk about it as well. I just have no concept of whether or not it's made it, to Europe, South America, Asia, etc., Australia. But I'm not going to name all the continents, okay? I can't. I haven't looked at a map since the year 2009. Then they're changing them all the time with this continental drift malarkey. But anyway, it was like last summer, you go to the grocery store, if it was like a specialty grocery store or an expensive grocery store, and those two terms are essentially interchangeable, you might see a Beyond Burger, and you'd be like, oh my god, that's so cool. Beyond is making inroads. I've been hearing about this for like 3 or 4 years. 1 year later, the Beyond Burger is in every grocery store I've visited within the past 2 or 3 months. Minimum. Help. Well, that's fine. Just be cool here. Beyond that, every fast food, not every fast food chain, but A&W and Tim Hortons, White Spot, which is like a kind of a like a British Columbia diner chain, but it is pretty popular. Hey, thank you, Tricky Trick. So many like fast food chain restaurants or casual dining restaurants have a version of the Beyond or the Impossible Burger on their menu. There's not only the Impossible Burger, of course, I'm not going to say which one came first because I don't know, but there's also now Light Life, which is a Canadian like maple leaf version of a plant-based burger. And, like if there's a place that has $9 imported beers on tap, you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to have a $14 or $15 Beyond Burger on the menu as well. It's insane how quickly it's popped off. Now, I do want to say, just for personal, prefacing, not personal preference, but personal preface. I've had the Beyond Burger probably 7 or 8 times. And I like it a lot. I've eaten a lot of beef burgers in my day. I don't want to call any, not specific member, but like a subset of my community out. I think it's just a community of people in real life. But, a lot of people are like, man, I could tell the difference. I believe that you could tell the difference. But I'm a prodigious meat eater, I'm trying to pack in like 180 to 200 grams of protein a day, and a man can only consume so much protein powder before losing his freaking mind. So I do eat a decent amount of meat. If you've listened, or watched for a long time, I go back and forth. Sometimes I go, almost strictly vegetarian, mostly vegetarian. I'm kind of in that, like extremely omnivorous right now. I'm eating a lot of everything, really. But I've eaten a lot of beef burgers in my day. I've eaten a lot of good. I've eaten a lot of bad. I've eaten a lot of decent. And I gotta tell you, the Beyond Burger is pretty friggin' good. I mean, you gotta season it, of course. I mean, that just goes for every meal that you should be cooking to begin with. But yeah, if you season it properly, it comes out tasting not necessarily identical, but pretty freaking close. And I gotta tell you, I'm not trying to get you to convert, because there are problems with the Beyond Burger. I'm not concerned at all with the salt content in the Beyond Burger. but I'm not a doctor either. And I also drink like 3 liters of water a day, so, you know, it might mitigate my concerns somewhat. What I am concerned about is the fact that the patties are $4 Canadian each, which is pretty expensive. But we get them anytime we want to have like burgers at home. I'm getting Beyond Burgers and have been for a while here. I really recommend it. Hold on. I don't think I want to go to the curse room. I think it's just a little too dangerous. We'll head down to the next floor here. And I gotta tell you, I've eaten them all. I've eaten black bean-based burgers. They vary, is a polite way to describe them. I've eaten portobello mushroom burgers. I've eaten tofu burgers, tempeh burgers, seitan burgers. I know it's a weird name. I wouldn't have chosen it either. Textured vegetable protein burgers. None of them... So, not all of them were bad, but you would never say that any of them were indistinguishable from real beef. The Beyond Burger is honestly near indistinguishable from real beef. It's impressive. But anyway, what I was gonna say, this anecdote's gone on too long, and I've missed my point. It's become so popular, at least here, that the grocery stores, the grocery store I went to last night, has now started to stock a 50% meat, 50% plant burger. Like, it's actually... We've hit the point where it's no longer like a niche product. You gotta walk down like a weird aisle to buy. And now it's like... There's different SKUs. You know, it's like the same way you can get like reduced salt potato chips and stuff like that. Like, it's hit critical mass. I don't know, like, I can think of the last time I've seen a product reach critical mass like this here. And it was LaCroix. Back in, like, the summer of 2016, maybe. It spread like freaking wildfire. It went from, like, you go to the grocery store and there would be, like, one flavor of LaCroix to, like, here's our friggin' LaCroix aisle. I don't even, you know, want to go down that road again. I like LaCroix, don't get me wrong. But it's definitely, it feels a little bit like a dated concept to some extent in 2019, I suppose. But I was just like... It's stunning to me how quickly it popped off, at least here. Now, mind you, I live in a very... I mean, I don't want it to sound snobby, but I live in a very, like, health-focused city. Lots of people here are very fit and outdoorsy, you know, care about their diet. Environmentally conscious, sorry. One of those intricacies of the English language. And, you know, I'm assuming, like, Toronto's the same. And a lot of American cities, I'm assuming, are the same as well, but... Just it's not. I'm not bringing the Beyond Burger up to be preachy and be like, hey man, if you eat meat, you better stop. Go get yourself some Beyond Bacon. You know, it's more just like almost on like an economic sense, like a capitalist sense. I'm like, oh my god, this company, like, like 3 years ago, they're like, they're making a Frankenburger, whatever. Now I'm like, oh my god, they're friggin' everywhere. A&W selling their products. Tim Hortons. I wonder how many Beyond sausage patties Tim Hortons is selling every day. It's nuts. But anyway, to move on from this specific tangent here, if you haven't had a Beyond Burger, I would definitely recommend at least giving it a try. You might be surprised how good it tastes. That's my thinking. I know there's a lot of bravado to some extent tied up in it. People, you know, well, yeah, it's not, here's my thinking. I don't think you should approach it like it's the Pepsi challenge, you know? I don't think you should be like, can I tell if it's Beyond or can I tell if it's beef? I think you should just eat it and be like, do I like the taste of this? But I don't know, you know, taste is like, it's a mental thing. I understand. I think if you like fed someone who didn't know what sour cream was, if you fed them like a little bit of sour cream, or you dipped like a nacho in it, and they were like, this is good, what's it called? And you're like, oh, delicious cream. They would be like, this delicious cream is aptly named. It's fantastic. And if you took another like A/B test, dude, I don't know, I think we gotta just freaking bolt here. And you said, oh, it's called sour cream, they might be like, eh. You know, there's a lot in the marketing. Sour cream is a terrible name. It is a little sour. But, like, it's not like a sour Skittle, you know? The sour cream sounds like something went wrong. I don't know if you should call it delicious cream. That makes me uncomfortable for a set of different reasons. I don't even want to point this out right now, but this run is also in a bit of a delicate position. I had a talk on like Kate and my co-op stream last night. By the way, part of the damage we've taken has been my own fault for never using how to jump, but simultaneously, like, we haven't been hit that much. We just haven't picked up very much HP. But like, I didn't even see him coming. I'm starting to understand, like, I don't want this to come across as negative, and I think that in the year 2019, nobody at all watching this really cares about the balance of the Binding of Isaac. But, you know, when Afterbirth Plus came out, people were like, they added a lot of, like, junk items into the game and kind of bloated the item pool, and I was like, nah, I disagree. A lot of cool stuff in here. It sounds like you're just a baby. Wah, quit crying. You know, wait, Yara would only give us consumables. We might have still been better off doing it, but whatever. But now that I've maybe, to be honest, regressed a little bit in Isaac play from when we were doing, you know, 4 episodes a day or something like that. Still pretty good, but, you know, I'm not quite as switched on, you know, as maybe I was back then. I sort of do find myself finally understanding, and I'm like, yeah, dude, I think it's just, and again, one of the things that annoys me with, like, internet discourse a lot of the time is the idea that, like, as soon as you say one thing that's critical, and what I said was critical, it must mean you hate the product, and the product must be defended at all costs. Oh, NL doesn't like the bloated pool, and yet, 6 years ago we said, and yet, you know, you get the idea. Well, like, I think it's okay to be critical as long as you recognize, like, I still like the game a great deal, but there's a lot of trash in the game, and some of the trash I think is, like, willfully there, as a way to, why would I do that? And why wouldn't I jump out? That's the real question. Some of the trash is there to willfully make for meme runs, fun runs, etc., or to balance the game in a downwards direction so that not every run is like a steamroll because there's only good items in the item pool. My main problem is that I feel like so many items that are not attribute-based have been added, and as a result, I so often, wow, that was close, lately, feel like I've gotten late into the game, and then my attributes, like my particularly HP tiers and damage, are just the same as they were, you know, on the 2nd or 3rd floor of the game, and I feel like I oftentimes lack the tools necessary in order to make progress at that point in a reasonable sense, you know, not having to dodge literally every single shot. Specifically because, you know, the design direction of the game became, okay, every single expansion pack needs to add another 100 items, whether or not it kind of compromises the balance of the game. Now, admittedly, this isn't really like a great scenario, because I have just, via variance, gotten a lot of range upgrades, which is never great, but I hope that you understand what I'm getting at, and you understand that it's not meant to be salty. I'm just starting to have that kind of like accumulation of experiences where I'm like, I guess there's an empathetic side to this, honestly, because I've done the same thing, you know, like, hey, Isaac videos are really popular, let's make more Isaac videos. There comes a point where you make too much of a good thing, if that makes sense. Part of the reason, oh, that's pretty solid. Part of the reason that Isaac got popular is the marketing around the game was like, you know, there's 4,500 items. Every run's a little bit different, you know? And it's true. And I mean, I perpetuated it, and I believed it at the time, and I still do to some extent. That's, you know, an element of what has made the game so popular. But I think we kind of hit perhaps maybe like one level of be careful what you wish for at some point, where now I'm like, okay, now there's like 500, well, I don't know, there's probably like 350 items in the game, but like the novelty of the items, it took 3,000 hours, but the novelty of the items has worn off, and now I just wish that I could reasonably assume we would have a chance to pick up like more tears upgrades or damage upgrades at some point. Now this run's a little different. Again, I don't want this run because you're like, dude, you have 11 damage, and that's true. Plus sad bombs and number 2 here, but you know, HP is a real problem, and that probably didn't help my case, but that's okay. HP is a real problem, and you know, once you kind of fall into that pattern, I guess the pattern of thinking that, like, well, in, you know, pre-Afterbirth Plus, I would have gotten HP upgrades instead, you know, it's hard to fall out of it to some extent, and now you think, okay, that's helpful. Were it not for the fact that they added Angry Fly into the game, you know, I would be in a better position right now, but anyway. I also want to point out, and this is in the interest of fairness to Isaac, you know, I've played this game more than it was intended to be played. Like, by far. Why would you not use credit card? But in the end, it doesn't really matter because we got enough money anyway. Like, for sure. Okay, forget about boss rush. Just go get the Yera rune here. Like, I kind of feel like, in this sense, I'm like a guy who's watched this. You know that guy who went and saw Infinity War, like, for 103 days in a row? And sometimes he was like, yeah, I just sleep through the movie because I know what happens. It's like, yeah, obviously, like, the movie's meant to not be watched 103 times in 103 days. You know what? I got a good feeling about this. Let's give it a shot. Fantastic. Good pill? Nope, not at all. And alright, literally no redemption whatsoever. Yeah, why not open the other ones? Okay. Okay. There you go. Happy now? You know, I've played this game more than it was supposed to be played. And as a result, I'm the guy who willingly played the game so much, and I'm like, they don't drop enough tears upgrades anymore. You know? All I'm trying to say is not that I'm done with Isaac. It's quite the opposite. It's more just like, dude, I'm in the desert right now, and I'm like dying of thirst. And I desperately, please, sir, the expansion. The expansion, I beg you. Please, please, sir. I'm in desperate need of new content and perhaps a bit of a rebalancing as well. Anyway. That's where I'm at after the last run. The sort of sad reality of the situation, selfish reality, I don't know if I call it sad, is that if this starts, you know, this run is the kickstart of another, you know, 25 streak, I will probably start to, I'll be like, man, never mind, I was dumb. This game's great. I mean, it is great, even when I'm frustrated with it, but I think I should, you know, I've earned the right to talk about my frustrations with the game. Without a doubt. Oh. It's just, there's nothing more frustrating, I get. Well, I mean, like, I kind of appreciate the runs that never give you anything. And for the whole run, it's you against the game. The most frustrating are the runs that start with like 1 or 2 good items and then never give you anything else. And then you get to the end and you're like, well, there was like quite literally almost nothing that I could have done short of being a perfect player. So, I mean, in a way, those shouldn't be frustrating at all. Because it's like, what are you supposed to do? You know, if you go out against Michael Jordan and he drops, you know, 65 points on you, you're gonna lose. But I'm like, I shouldn't lose. I have 3,000 hours in this game. I should never lose. It's not really fair. You get the idea, though. Okay. Regardless, though. I'm stoked. It's Friday. Always like a Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. In my opinion, everybody's looking forward to the weekend. We got weekend plans, you know? We're gonna, I mean, first off, it's Routes Community Day in Pokemon Go. Look it up, sweetheart. I think that's where we're gonna stop this. And you know, if we had taken all of the, like, if we had taken Book of the Dead and Book of Belial, I think that was there. I can't remember. We would have had Bookworm, but Bookworm I don't think is worth the HP that it would have cost us in aggregate. I think we're stoked for sure to have Dark Bum though, even if he is terrible at his job. Come on, dude, I gave you the time. So it's a Pokemon Go Community Day, which is really like, I mean, it's not like a high-octane experience. It's really like standing out in the sun, you know, catching the same Pokemon like 100 times, but it's a good Pokemon, so it's pretty sweet. Plus, you get like such a high chance of catching a shiny. It's very valuable. But then on top of that, it's the last day. I've talked about it, I think, a couple of times. It's the last day of the Festival of Light, which is an annual fireworks festival in Vancouver that is insane as far as tourism goes. Like, we went out for dinner on Wednesday, and when we got out, we were like, why are there so many people? And then we realized, oh my god, today's, no, sir! Sir, that was my HP! We were like, oh right, it's Festival of Light Day. Literally, I thought to myself, well, we'll just open this, and as long as it's not a troll bomb, it's fine. But, like, to be honest, we also could have used how to jump to get out, but we have about a second to figure that out mentally. And Dark Bum, we paid an HP for it, and it paid out with a spider after stealing our red heart. A lot of things went wrong in an incredibly short amount of time there. That's horrible. We're going to be back to do another random run. This one, I can't really put this on Isaac's mantle. You know what I mean? I am a little bit annoyed by the lack of HP, but life goes on. I think I'm in a rut, and I got to dig myself out, Isaac-wise. Personally, I'm doing okay. For now, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. See ya!